Hello and welcome back to my channel, and thanks for rejoining me with my Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition solo campaign. We are now into, I believe, episode 4, if not 5, I think probably 4, of our Darkwater Lake expedition. We had run into a bit of bother in the last episode. A rather grievous encounter with goblins continued, and we had a number of casualties. And I was faced with a bit of a dilemma with our characters, what to do with them. In particular, Tristan, who received grievous wounds from a Morningstar wielding goblin that was quite tenacious and took a great deal of combat power and ongoing perseverance from the characters to sever his head from his body. It was achieved in the end, but not without a bit of trial and tribulation. And I had a bit of a crisis of conscience at the end because Tristan had got down to -2 hit points, which is very close to the -3, which would have been, under the optional rules, would have been death if it had been from one wound. I ruled that he did not die. We would invoke the option. However, I was faced with the dilemma that he might be incapacitated for a week, according to Dungeon Master's Guide. I've since looked at the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I concur with that ruling that would be the case, and something like cure light wounds, etc., would not be a panacea for that type of injury. However, I did have a bit of a think about it, and I thought what I should do is just do a little bit of an explanation in Brian's channel style, where I've done a bit of an analysis. I come up with a few options, and there are some extraneous circumstances as well which have impinge on my decision. So all will become clear. I've got my witnesses, I've got all the characters, bated breath, they're all waiting for the ruling from the Dungeon Master. So an episode recap from our last episode. So in the last episode, the party faced a goblin patrol that proved much tougher than expected. You're telling me. The fight dragged on, with the final goblin refusing to fall despite heavy blows. During the clash, Tristan was struck down to -2 hit points, barely clinging to life under the optional AD&D rules allowing survival to -3. Okay. After the battle, the party realized that Tristan was in a deep coma, requiring days of rest to recover unless Dagobert used cure light wounds to bring him back to fighting condition. However, this raised the question of whether such a spell should fully negate the seriousness of a near-fatal wound. On conclusion, I decided the DMG was quite clear on this, and as pointed out by some of the viewers, I had some very positive feedback, which was very useful in shaping my view. Only a 6th level heal spell would remove the need to recuperate. So that week-long, basically hospitalization period, could be circumvented by a heal spell, which is a very high-level clerical spell. So things like cure light wounds and cure serious wounds have no effect. However, they would recover the hit points and get you back to a positive level, which is kind of what we've done here. However, that being said, a complication arose when I realized a rule error. You're saying, what, Brian? You made a mistake. And I said, yeah. When I was looking at the footage, the goblin that dealt the critical blow should have already been dead. So that awful Morningstar goblin that was swinging his thing around, causing Tristan a lot of grief. Tristan, from an earlier encounter with him, from earlier damage due to missing a damage bonus, because remember, Tristan's got this phenomenal strength. He gets a +3 damage bonus, and one of the damage rolls on this goblin was, I think I got him up to, he was almost 1 hit point away from death. I failed to add the damage bonus on. Yeah, can you believe it? So this means Tristan's injury was partly caused by my mistake. Yes, I admit my mistake. So that's given me a little bit of a dilemma, and that feeds into my decision options. So I have got 3 decision options I want to present to you. Basically, it's almost feel like you're in a court of law and I'm going through different deliberations on the case. So the first one is following the strict rules. Tristan remains incapacitated until naturally healed. The party must decide whether to risk continuing to Darkwater Lake short-handed or retreat to safety. Okay, the pros for this approach: maximum realism and consequence, and the correct interpretation of the rule. So we keep on the right side of history. We follow the Dungeon Master's Guide to the letter. On the con side, it slows momentum and frustrates the solo gameplay. So solo player says, well, come on, we need to get on. I want to, we're all the way to Darkwater Lake. Surely we can come to a compromise, Dungeon Master. So he says, well, okay, well, I have another option, which is the cure spell, but with a setback. So Dagobert casts Cure Light Wounds, which he has done, and he has relieved 8 hit points, reviving Tristan, but leaving him with a lasting penalty. So that could be something like -1 to attack rolls or a slower movement until fully recovered after several in-game days. So I could put some form of penalty on. The pros of this would it keep the stakes high, allows the adventure to continue, and feels kind of fair based on the fact that I have over-penalised Tristan in this instance. The cons, it would add a handicap mid-adventure, which, in comparison to what he's got, I don't think is a major downside. And then our third option that I've got, this is Fate's compensation. In recognition of the solo player's error, which is me. Tristan was actually knocked unconscious, and his wounds were not as severe as perceived, and he makes a recovery assisted by the healing spell. He is still sore but ready to fight. And the pros for this is transparent and fair to the character, and it corrects the error. The cons could reduce the perceived danger of future near-death experience if overused. And I'm kind of going against that one as well. I think I feel like we would just let Tristan away with it. We role-played out Adelin's intervention, staunching of his wounds. It almost became part of the game's lore. The fact that Tristan had received some form of grievous, if we go down the route that he actually was quite badly hurt, and what's happened is that Dagobert's come along and applied Cure Light Wounds very timorously, and it has maybe got him back onto the straight and narrow. So that all being said, those 3 different interpretations, my suggested choice is to go for the option 2, the cure spell, but with a setback. So we'll use the Cure Light Wounds, but apply a temporary penalty to Tristan. Let's reduce his strength by 2. So he goes from strength 18, and I think it was 67, his percentile, down to 16 for damage and door opening. So if we get our player's handbook out, let's see what we get as far as his strength. So he had an 18, I think he was in the 51 to 75 bracket, where he got a +3 damage bonus. If he goes down to 16, he'll only get a +1 damage bonus, and he will only open doors on a 1 to 3, and also he only gets +350 on his weight allowance. So I'm probably going to have to recalibrate his weight allowance. The fact that he's no longer basically the mule for the party, he is now going to be quite severely curtailed. So I'm saying by penalising him in his strength, we've really taken away quite a bit of his combative ability. We've got his weight allowance down, and he's not going to be as useful bashing down doors as he was. But it's not the case where he is incapacitated and he's out of action. We can actually continue with the adventure, which is, I think everybody's a winner on that one. So that being said, I think I can maybe draw a line on the sand in that, and I hope that you as viewers can sympathise. I've gone through quite a rigorous process, a bit of heart searching, a bit of gnashing of teeth. I didn't take this decision lightly. I had a bit of, I wouldn't say sleepless nights about it, but I did slightly worry that I didn't really want to be over generous or too unkind and unfair on the players, and the detriment of the actual entertainment of the solo game as well. And remember, the game must be premier at all time, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have a bit of fun. I don't have to be over serious all the time. As long as there's no perception that that awful word of cheating, of cutting corners. I would never want that applied. So I think I've got maybe off the hook on that. I hope I can ask your indulgence. So let's move on. We have a potential goblin alert. So we are in this room still. If we get our time sheet out, we are already up to. We're just moving into our rest period. So even though we've been basically out of action for quite a number of turns because of waiting for Tristan to come around, we still need an obligatory rest period, because maybe we've been doing things, we've been looking for our arrows, we've been maybe trying to secure the room, just make sure that things are, there's nothing else lurking around. Also probably trying to dispose of the goblins' bodies, because I'm saying we do have a potential goblin alert, so let's dispose of the bodies and evidence. So maybe what we can do is, Daggerbird says, well, why don't we try to stick them in this cage and see whether we can just cover them up with something. I don't know, whether someone's cloak or something. It's not really going to be very satisfactory, because I'm sure someone's going to spot it. But you never know, we might get away with it in the short term. There's nowhere else to put these bodies. If we look at our master map, the nearest room is the one in the entrance. Because we're in here with all the kind of, this is basically a sacrificial chamber. Our combat was centered in this area, which has been zoomed up into our grand picture here. There was this large cage that was part of the torture, and the sacrificial stuff. Maybe that's where they put prisoners before they were going to be sacrificed on this awful altar with this evil eye. That is available for us, I suppose, to dispose of any bodies. So that's what we're going to do. We'll say, right, Daggerbird, that's a good idea. Let's just get cracking. So we've been busy doing that, hauling 10 goblin bodies and throwing them rather unceremoniously into the cage. So I would say that we've actually done another rest period. We're already up to 2 hours, so it is now 11:40. We're going to go into our next turn. We have the dreaded encounter, wandering monster check. We get our D10 out. This is what happened to us last time. The dreaded 1 came up. What is going to happen? Are we going to get a 1? So we get a 10. So emphatically, we have not got any wandering monsters, which is a good thing. If you just bear with me, I'm just going to take a slurp of my coffee. Had a wee bit of a frog in my throat. And let's again have a little quick recap on where we are hit point wise. So we're going to say that Tristan is now up to, he got, how many did he get? He was down to -2 and he got 8 cured. So he goes back up to, he goes back up to 6. Yeah, I've got 6 there. I've just got a bit kind of rubbed out. So I'll put 6 there for Tristan. Daggerbird's okay. He's had no damage. Lindris is toiling a bit. Lindris is down to 3. And Anarian's taken quite a hefty amount so far, because he's had quite a few more minor wounds, and he's down to 7. Adeline, thank goodness, is unaffected. And she's still got her sleep spell in reserve, so we can use that. So, Dagobert says, right, I think what we can do is we can... Tristan, are you feeling okay? And Tristan says, well, I feel a bit groggy, but I think I've had a bit of a lucky escape there. You know, that I don't know what happened with that Morningstar goblin. He must have got the slip on me. It just came in from some strange angle. I thought I had him. You know, I had the strength to basically wipe him out. I don't know what happened there. He must have dodged a bullet, but he came back and gave me a nasty whack with that Morningstar. It's an evil weapon, and we say yes, that's the sort of thing a goblin would use. Nasty. Let's just hope that we can secure this room and make sure that no one else can discover these bodies in the short term if we have disguised them in this. I don't think it's really going to work too well, Dagobert. You really would have to be a bit blind not to notice. And there's also there's the minor detail of all the smears of blood all over the floor. Although we've spent so much time in that room that we could have probably tried to maybe minimize the signs of combat. But it's really up to your own imagination how much we really put into that effort. We were probably more concerned about our own party making sure that Tristan was okay and disposing of the bodies. Okay, I think we're back into adventure mode. So let's get our map out again. We can maybe dispense. We've been using this for quite a number of sessions now. Maybe we can file that away under history and get our map out again. And we are faced with the adventurous task of which door we would like to go through. So Dagobert says, well, I think we should maybe continue and choose one of these 2 doors. Why don't we do the one on the right here? Or should we go to the left? Let's just do it randomly. 1 to 3, we go left, and 4 to 6 we go right. So we go right. So my initial hunch was correct. Let's see if do you want to try to listen to the door, Lindris? And then Lindris says, well, I don't know if it's going to do us any good. We've been making such a clatter in this room. Is it really gonna put us in the front foot? I think we should just try to give this a bit of a bash. And bear in mind, Tristan says, well, remember, I'm down to, I don't have as good a chance because I'm not feeling 100%. And they say, well, I'm sure that's going to be sufficient. So we'd really want to have an Aryan in a position where he can fire his bow. So he's not going to be part of the bashing team. So it's going to be us 3. I think I think we'll just to start. We'll employ Adeline in this. And what Adeline can do is, if we bash through the door, she can jump back and have her sleep spell in her mind ready. Because Dagobert is the man with the light. He needs to oversee the operation, so he's not going to lure himself with the door bashing. He says the door bashing is not for managerial level. What are you talking about? So we are in the position where we can do some dice rolling. Good. So we'll have Adeline with this one. We'll have Tristan with this dice, and then we'll just do Lindris afterwards. So both Adeline and Tristan fail in their rolls. So we've got a 1 or a 2 for Lindris. No, we all do a bit of. We don't really come up with the goods on the door bashing. We have to give it another shot. So we'll do Adeline and Tristan again. No, they don't have any joy. And then we have Lindris. Is he? Yes, Lindris does it. He uses his, but I suppose beguiling elven strength. He says it's all in the wrist. This, is my technique. He manages to get the door open. However, we've probably lost maybe some element of surprise. because we've made a bit of a bashing. However, Lindra's point still stands that we've been making a bit of a clatter in this room. Anyhow, so we get back to, yeah, we get to roll on what's beyond the door. And we also reactivate my temple mechanic. And what we will do is we will determine what is beyond the door first, in tandem with, so we'll get our D20 for that. And we are also going to have our temple mechanic. So if we get a 1 or a 2, we might have a temple chamber or room. And a 1 or a 2, we might have some atmosphere. So we'll just do all this together in one fell swoop. And I think this is worthy of a dice tray roll, just to show us. So we get a 9, and my goodness, we've done it again. We've got the invocation of the temple room, and we've got an intervention of atmosphere. So we've just like the previous case. So ordinarily we would have had a 9, which would have been a passage 45 degrees ahead or behind. So we're not going to have a passage. We are going to have a room through here. So let's find out what kind of room it is based on my temple mechanic. So I'll get my folder out, which has got the details in it. So here we go. And just as a quick recap, the thematic dice, those are first dice. If the theme dice shows a result, I have made a bit of a mistake. It's not. I thought it was 1 to 2, so it's not. If the theme dice shows a result of 5 to 6, consult the theme table. Right, okay, yes. I must be getting it mixed up with some other rule. Yeah, because the atmosphere dice, 5 to 6 refer to the atmosphere table. Okay, so false alarm, it is actually a passage. So the result beyond the door is 9, passage 45 degrees ahead. And I have 3 little asterisks. It says the direction will be appropriate to existing circumstances, but use the direction before the slash in preference to the others. So it is going to be ahead, and let's say it's going to be appropriate. So it's probably going to move into this. So we're going to have, I'll get my ruler for this. And we are going to have a 30-foot passage out here. And we will have it from here too. This is where you get this famous, you get this really weird looking lines with the, it has to end with a flat face. So Dagobert says, right, okay, so we're faced with a passage. I think we should proceed cautiously up to this bit here. I can basically see with my lantern 30 feet ahead. I can see there's an opening here. Where is that going to lead to? So if we get into our marching order, we are proceeding carefully. Lindris is mapping this, so he will be able to take 1/3 of a turn to do that. I've got a mental note of that in my head, but that is the case. And what we do is we'll do, at the end of that process, we will do a periodic check. So we haven't done a periodic check, I don't think, at all in this Darkwater Lake. So there you go. So let's find out what our periodic check is at the end of this passage. And we get a 19. Trick or trap? Oh no, it's one of those, it's a 19. What is happening to the characters in this dungeon? Yeah, it really is. I think we should have just stayed with. I should have not kept my mouth shut about the thematic and the atmosphere dice and gone for them. They might have been a softer option. So we are faced with the prospect of a trick or trap. I have always said our characters are proceeding cautiously, but that might not be a defense against us if we are faced with some awful trick or trap. But let's find out what we're going to get. So what does it say? Trick or trap, see table 7. Passage continues, check again in 30 feet. So let's have a look. Table 7, a trick or trap. So it's a die 20. All right, so are we going to have a trick or trap and then it continues another 30 feet? So let's do, we'll continue the passage another 30 feet. So my reading of this would be there's a trick or trap here, and this continues another 30 feet beyond. And whatever this is, this will override this 30 feet. But let's go on the basis that that is the case just now. So we have a trick or trap. We have to do a D20. This could be very important for the characters. So hold your breath. Where is my D20 gone? I think I've lost it. No, it was in my dice roller. So let's have a look at what this this trick or trap is. 3. Secret door. All right. Now, could that be the most innocuous thing that we could get? Right, let's have a look at this detail. We might have been let off the hook slightly. Maybe Bane has looked down on us and felt sorry and saying we had so much of an issue last episode. He wants something a bit more straightforward, bit of just normal exploration. And he says, I don't want to have all these awful things like spear traps and gas and doors falling outward and being trapped forever. Let's have a secret door, unless unlocated. A non-elf locates in a 3 and 20. An elf locates 5 and 20. A magical device locates 18 and 20. Unlocated secret doors go to die 6, 7 below. Oh. Ah, right. So, yeah, I understand. So there is a secret door. Right, I think the way that this works is that we have to try to locate it. And if we can't locate this secret door, it's actually going to be a pit 10 foot deep. And a 3 and 6 we fall in. So let's see if we locate it. So we'll go through each of our individual characters. A non-elf locates a 3 and 20. An elf locates 5 and 20. We don't have any magical devices. So let's do that check first. So I will get my post-it note. Oh, I've got some stuff from my Hero Quest adventure. It's all the treasure. That's an impinging of another game world. Can't have that. So we'll have, we've got our characters. We'll have Adelind. We've got Dagobert. We've got Lindris, who's our elf. He gets a special treatment. We've got Tristan and we've got Anarian. So let's have Adelind, and she is a 1 to 3. 1 to 3. She detects it. Nope. Dagobert, 1 to 3. Nope, 20. He completely blanks it. Tristan is our best chance. 1 to 5 on a D20. No, Tristan doesn't discover it. Sorry, Lindris doesn't discover it. Tristan, he's impaired, so we would not expect him maybe to do this. He is 6, so he doesn't. Come on, Anarian. You're gonna have to 18. So none of our characters discover the secret door. And the secret door I could have placed on this wall somewhere, say, and that could have been leading into something else. So there is no secret door. However, there is a pit trap here. And there is a chance that we fall down into the pit trap. So what does the Dungeon Master's Guide say on this? So let's just go back to this. It says we go to, if it's unlocated secret doors, go to die 6, which is a pit 10 feet deep and a 3 and 6 to fall in. So do we all fall in, or are we going to check individually? I would say And also a 10-foot drop. What is the chance that we do some damage? I might have to go to the Dungeon Master's Guide and see whether we do suffer damage. I could maybe just do a ruling on the spot and say, well, it's not going to be maybe major damage unless it's a bad fall. There's always the chance. Okay, let's do the ruling on what happens with the actual fall itself, and whether anybody. And I remember what our marching order would have been. It would have been Tristan, who is our thief, and we would have Dagobert behind. Also up front, we have got Lindris, who is maybe doing, and Anarion has got his bow, and Adelin's at the back. So that was really what our marching order was going to be. And when I say at the back, it's probably like she's almost abreast with these two here. So the first two that are going to maybe suffer from a fall are going to be these two characters here. So I would say that they both definitely need to test, and whether their sharp wits and senses afterwards can maybe, you know, stop them falling over the brink. You know, if those two do fall in, and say one of those actually saves themselves, there's always a chance that they maybe save one of each other or prevent one of the other characters coming afterwards. So let's do this little scenario, do it nice and slowly, so that we can work it out. We've already got a little sheet of paper here. So the two that are in front are going to be Lindris and Tristan. And it said that on a 3 and 6, you fall in. So let's do Tristan first. Surely Tristan isn't going to. He's already had quite a lot of things happening to him. So if he gets a 1 to 3, he falls into the thing. So he doesn't. So he goes, whoa, watch out! There's a pit here. I think is this a disguised? You know, what is this floor all about? And then Lindris is a 1 to 3. He gets a 4, which is yes. So I would say on the basis, unless these two coming afterwards and pile into them, which is probably not the case, because what we're doing is we're going at quite a slow pace. I would say that the characters and the following characters have had a bit of a lucky escape. So maybe alarm off. Let's de-escalate from DEFCON 5. We don't need to maybe go that way, but we have discovered something that we were going to have to try to get across. That's probably just going to be a case of just a jump over this pit. The question is how many feet across it is. So maybe we could do a 1d10 just to discover how far across this 10-foot pit is, and that might calibrate whether it's a difficult jump, you know, to get across. So the pit on this is going to be 4 feet wide. So that's probably quite an easy. That's beyond. It's almost like a slightly more than a meter. It's a very good stride, so you'd easily be able to do it with a jump. So I don't think there's any risk. So I'm going to put a 4-foot pit, which is 10 feet down. And it could be one of these famous fantasy pits that's got lava at the bottom and bubbling mud or something. I mean, probably not, because this is not really what's done. I've got my atmospheric dice to do that, and I think there is a chance that we get a bit of atmosphere in here, because I do have a little procedure, and I think let's see if I can invoke that. Yeah, it says that each time the party enters a corridor, there is a base 20% chance that dressing will be rolled for. This increases by +10 if the corridor is longer than 10 feet. On a positive result, consult the corridor dressing table. And I've got a corridor dressing table. So let's just do a percentage to see whether, and that will be, it's more than 30 feet, so it's going to be 30%. So 55, so we do now have dressing, so it's really just an empty corridor, a bit nondescript. probably, we've got enough dressing already with this pit. That's probably enough. So we hop across the pit. Lindra says, okay, I can make sure that we've got this noted as a hazard in my map. We have to proceed another 60 feet up to this. So we'd have to do another periodic check at the end of that. So we'll get our Dungeon Master's Guide out, making sure that we're still proceeding cautiously. I think that was a bit of a lucky escape, and hopefully I did the right ruling on that. I think that was probably the fairest way to do it. Certainly with the secret doors, we had to still try to locate them. We never did, so there's no secret door there. The result was that there was going to be a pit trap, and that was based on the fact that your front character's likelihood of falling down. I don't think the entire party would just walk onto this and then suddenly it would go, whoa, it's like a cartoon, and they just fall down. I think it would be based on the first coming along, and the fact that the two characters at the front managed to either notice the pit in advance and suddenly managed to pull themselves to a halt, or use their dexterity to maybe almost jump aside. Use that to your imagination. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do another periodic check. So hopefully we're not going to get one of these high rolls, which was an 18 or a 19. And we get a 3, which is a door. Okay, so we can handle that. So we come to, in fact, we'll do it side one like this. So we suddenly right ourselves, and we have a door here. Okay, and the characters say, right, we can handle a door. We know, all we have to do is just give it a bit of a bash. So we get our bash team up. Let's see, in fact, I could really do with getting another dice. Yeah, I'll get my white dice. And we'll have white as Adeline's. We'll have black as Tristan, as Lindra's, and red as Tristan, so that we've got a bit of differentiation. We get Tristan has still got the strength sufficient, so he does it. We managed to open the door. So what is beyond the door on this? And we also do a roll on our thematic and atmosphere at the same time. So hopefully I'll get it right this time. So we'll have this as thematic, and we'll have this as atmosphere. And we have our D20. So let's do an important dice tray roll. We get, oh right, so we have got thematic and we've got atmosphere. Okay, so we invoke the ruling. What we're going to have. Yeah, we've got our thematic. So we've had a result of 5 to 6. We consult the theme table, and we'll wait on the atmosphere because that could be dependent on the theme. So this takes priority, usually the theme table, and we can roll on this a d6. It's going to either be a temple room, an event, or a specific room. So let's get our d6 out, and I'll keep with the black theme for this. It's quite brave. So temple room. Yeah, so if this is a temple room, we go to our temple room sub-table, and we get to roll another d6. So we really are going to town on this Darkwater Lake temple. Let's see what we can get. So we get a 4 this time. Indoctrination and a meditation. So areas where cultists were brainwashed, underwent a dark enlightenment, or focused their evil energies, includes items that represent the horrific religion. Oh no. Torture, 1d3. Room table, 1d3. Okay. So let's see what we're going to do. We're going to have to draw 1d3 on the torture. First, before we even get cracking on that, now that we've determined what the nature of the place is, let's actually do the room itself. And we'll go back to the Dungeon Master's Guide for this and do the actual room creation, and also whether it includes the big question, the burning question, and has it got anything in it. So a chamber and room size, so we'll do a d20 on that. And what I can see that we're really starting to get into a time situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to map out the major components of this, and so that we're completely aware what we're dealing with, and then I can draw up the actual details. But I don't want to maybe labor the time with trivial detail when it's quite fun to see what the actual outcome is. So if I get my d20, let's find out what the size of the room is. It is 12, and 12 is rectangular, 20 by 30, so it's a 20 by 30 room. It is the number of exits is going to be 16, and 16 is any size, 1 to 4, which is d4. So it's going to have d4 exits. It's got 1 exit, and I can place that at the start of the next episode, just exactly where it is. In fact, well, let's just do the exit location just now. 14, it is on the left wall. No, sorry, the right wall. Right. Okay, put that down. And chamber or room contents. Ooh. Okay. So this is the important roll. 17. What's this all about? What is 17 on our chamber and room? Monster and treasure. Table VG below. Okay. So we have treasure and we have a monster. So shall we find out what monster we've got? And then leave it on that. And remember, we're in an indoctrination and a meditation area. I will be able to explain exactly what that is in the next episode. But we also get to find out what we encounter in this room, because what I'm doing is for encounters, I'm substituting the DMG tables for these specific tables for both occupants and wandering monsters. And we refer to the DMG for the numbers and the effective monster level and cap based on my formula. So I have a 1d10 roll. What we're going to get if we do this roll, I will tell you. Let us do a 1d10 and find out what we actually come across. 6. Goblins again. More goblins. Oh dear. Right, let's find out. Surely not more goblins. Yeah. Do they not even know that maybe there's something to do with these ones, the patrol? Maybe they were their colleagues waiting there, waiting for them to come back. And they're thinking, drumming their fingers, they're probably saying, I wonder where they've gone, that patrol's gone. Where's he gone, that Blacktooth? He's just a bit of a rascal. He's probably off gallivanting out in the island somewhere, drinking all our wine, doing his stuff. And what am I looking for? I am looking for the Dungeon Master's Guide on the numbers. And goblins, we've got 6 to 15. So that was a d10, a 5 plus a d10, wasn't it? Yeah, that was right. A 5 plus d10, and we're probably going to cap at 10. So let's see how many we get. We have got 5 plus, we've got 15, so we're going to cap that at 10. So it's going to be 10 goblins. 10 goblins in this room. And I do have a little, remember I had a little sub table, and the patrol was one of the options. Maybe I could invoke one of the other ones at the start of the next episode. A bit of a shame that we've got goblins again. You know, we're going to have to maybe have another combat with goblins. And we're quite tempted maybe to go for something else. But what we can do maybe on this instance is maybe to try to create a bit more interest with these goblins. And, you know, I think the patrol was one of the options that I had, and I've got 3 others that are quite interesting and tantalizing. And I'm trying to create a bit of like a little vignette out of each of our little encounters. And even if it is with the same monster, I can have a bit of individuality about it. You know, that initial goblin encounter, it was with a patrol, and they had a definite doctrine. They had a different way of operating, and that basically shaped how the encounter played out. I will have a similar thing here. This looks as though there are goblins that are based in this room, potentially. You know, maybe they are another patrol that's moving around. You know, we are coming across a bit of a theme here. There's obviously a lot of goblins in this place. Maybe there is a goblin, and we're getting closer to this goblin boss that's been hinted. And that could be something that I can weave into the tapestry of this Darkwater lake. But you know, certainly from a point of view of my mechanic, it is being played to the full. So I'll be able to, you know, once we get past the goblins in this room, we're going to have maybe a bit of thematic stuff that we have to bring in. Certainly with some of the, you know, when we're actually having the encounter, with these 10 goblins, there might be a few bits of dressing that might actually impinge on the combat. And we're talking a room that's 20 by 30, so it's not as large as this. It's a bit smaller. So you know, maybe it's going to be a bit more constrained and for close quarter fighting, and we're really going to be up against them. And also it'd be interesting to see whether we get surprised or not, and whether Anarian can lift some arrows. We did get the door open quickly, so you know, that's going to be in our favor. I think the surprise roll, it'll be coming up. So yeah, let's see how we get on. Next episode, goblins. Draw your weapons, draw your scimitars, get your morning stars out. The characters are probably on the front foot to meet them, this threat. Is there going to be a theme developing? Are these goblins either outliers, or are they part of the defense team? That is the question. Okay, well, I enjoyed that. I'm glad that we managed to resolve Tristan's situation, so hopefully satisfactorily. We are still adventuring. We are progressing through the Darkwater Lake, the temple, the ruined temple. Goblins seem to be the theme, but we have come across a couple of temple rooms already. You know, that's been quite exciting. We've got a possibility of a bit more dressing. A lucky escape from that pit, but I think again we did it by the book. I'm quite happy the way we got past that. Okay, thank you very much for watching this episode, and I look forward to the next one where we will take on these goblins. Thanks, bye.